Hey everyone, I'm Isabel, and today I'm going to talk to you about these 3 easy and affordable upgrades that I've done to my kitchen recently that have also inspired me to upgrade my cooking. When I moved into my LA apartment, the kitchen was the first room to get the Engineer Your Space treatment. People often ask me what that means. And when I think about it, it's really about taking ownership of where you live, even if you're renting, and to see the possibilities for creating a space that reflects who you are and that feels like home. It's also about truly making it functional and comfortable for day-to-day living. That often means designing and building custom solutions to make the most efficient use of the space. I've made a lot of improvements to my rental kitchen over the years, and I'm constantly upgrading it to make it an even more inspiring space to cook. For these latest improvements that I've done, I thought it would be fun to cook a meal while I show them to you. So I partnered with HelloFresh for this video. HelloFresh has so many delicious meal options to choose from that it was really easy to pick some that I wanted to try. Plus, having everything delivered right to my front door was a huge time saver for sure. It's really nice to be able to try a new recipe and not having to worry about having the right ingredients, and then if you're missing something, having to run to the grocery store to get it. Every HelloFresh meal comes with one of these beautiful recipe cards, which do a great job of showing you what you'll be cooking and also how to put it all together. Having under cabinet lighting makes it so much nicer to cook in this kitchen. I had installed some when I had first moved in, but the lights just weren't as bright as I would have liked. These new LED lights that I found on Amazon are much brighter. Plus, they have a motion sensor on-off switch, which is very convenient. You can install the lights with screws or double-sided adhesive pads. I chose to use the pads because I think they're easier to install, but I modified them by putting removable double-sided tape on one side just to make them easier to remove when I move out. I love that these lights are very thin, plus because they're LED, they don't give off any heat. For securing the wires, I just used a few cable staples. But you do have to be careful not to pierce the wires because the ends are very sharp. I didn't think that I would like having a motion sensor switch like this as much as I did. It's really easy to use and it's also kind of fun. Now back to the cooking part of this video. I was really excited to finally get started with my first HelloFresh meal. I chose to go with a vegetarian meal, but there's also a lot of great options with meat and fish. It's so convenient to have all the ingredients already pre-portioned so that you're sure that you're using the right amount. And the step-by-step instructions are very detailed, which I appreciate, especially when I'm cooking a recipe for the first time. They even remind you to wash your produce, something that's a lot more enjoyable to do now that I have this new faucet. The old one was definitely past its prime, and replacing it was actually pretty straightforward. The most important thing to do first is to turn off the hot and cold water supply. All you really need in terms of tools is an adjustable wrench, but I also use this easy faucet tool that's specifically designed for this job. It just makes it a lot easier to work when there isn't a lot of room to maneuver. I wish I had used a small plastic container to catch the water instead of a towel, but it still did the job. Typically, faucets have a mounting nut like this that holds the faucet in place. And once I got that off, I was finally able to remove the old faucet. So satisfying, but also pretty gross. There was a lot of gunk under that old faucet that needed to be cleaned up. Using an old toothbrush helped to get everything clean again and ready for the new faucet. I essentially followed the same steps as before to install it, but in reverse. The only difference with this faucet is that it has a sprayer, so I had to connect that to the faucet. Very simple to do. That is, as long as you make sure that the faucet is facing the correct way when you put it in. I forgot to do that and ended up installing it backwards so that the hot water was on the cold supply line and vice versa. So I had to take it apart again and reinstall it the correct way. Not a big deal, just really annoying. I can't believe that I lived with this old faucet for so long, especially considering the new one cost less than $75. I wish I had replaced it years ago, and I also wish that I would have known about HelloFresh sooner. It's so nice to not have to go to the grocery store and already have everything on hand that I need to make a meal. With all the planning taken care of, I can just focus on the cooking part, which is what I actually enjoy doing. I also think it's a great way to discover new foods and improve my cooking skills in the kitchen, something I've been wanting to do. I would definitely recommend giving HelloFresh a try. If you use my coupon code EngineerYourSpace80, you'll get $80 off your first month of deliveries. So I'll put also a link to that in the description below. It truly makes cooking easy and effortless. And I like that you only get the exact amount of food that you need for each meal, so there isn't a lot of waste. Speaking of which, adding this pull-out drawer for my trash bin under the sink has been another game changer in my kitchen. I've always wanted to have one because I just think it makes it so much easier to get to the stuff at the back of the cabinet. But most rental kitchens don't have that sort of thing, and the kind that you buy ready-made like these all require you to make holes to anchor them to the cabinet, which many landlords don't like. So when I installed this pull-out trash and recycling bin for a client in his rental kitchen, I came up with a way to do it without making holes. Instead of securing the frame to the cabinet, I secured it to a piece of plywood that's a few inches longer than the actual frame. This was to leave space for a tension rod. By wedging it between the plywood and the bottom of the counter, it keeps the frame in place and also prevents it from tipping over when the bins are extended all the way out. It worked so well that I was really excited to do the same thing in my kitchen. But this particular model didn't fit under my cabinet because of the pipes. So of course, I decided to build my own DIY version using 1x3 pine boards and 3/4 inch thick plywood. The corner clamps aren't necessary, but I like to use them to help hold the pieces together while I put in the first screws. I used these 18-inch ball bearing drawer slides I found on Amazon. They were under $10, so really affordable. Every drawer slide is slightly different, so I would really recommend that you follow the instructions that come with the slides you purchase to make sure that you install them exactly in the right location. Sometimes I like to skip the wood glue because it makes it easier to take things apart later and reuse the wood for something else. The trickiest part of this project is to take very precise measurements and to also cut your wood equally precisely. What I call the cradle, which is what the drawer attaches to, needs not only to fit inside the cabinet properly, but it also has to be sized so that it leaves exactly the amount of space needed for the drawer slides. You'll find that information on the instructions for your slides. This is really critical because if it's slightly off, the drawer won't operate properly. Since I had the cabinet all emptied out, I took this opportunity to freshen up the inside with a new coat of paint before putting in the drawer. And how you're going to put it in is something that you should think about before you build this. My cradle was wider than the cabinet opening, so I couldn't just slide it in from the front, and all the pipes made it really challenging to find an angle that would work to slide it in. Once I had it in the right spot, I used the same tension rod trick I used for the other bin and secured the cradle in place. Of course, if holes aren't an issue, you can use screws instead to attach it to the cabinet. I'm so happy with how this project came together. And now I'm thinking I need to make more of these for my other cabinets. It's kind of silly, but it makes me happy every time I pull out the trash bin now. It's really amazing how spending just a little over $100 on these latest improvements could have made such a difference in how much I enjoy being in my kitchen. It's actually really hard for me to pick a favorite out of the 3 projects that I showed you. I use them all every day and they make me smile every time. I'm really curious to know which one of these upgrades is your favorite and which one you think you would actually be most likely to do in your kitchen. So let me know in the comments below. A huge thank you to HelloFresh for partnering with me to show you all of these projects. I had a lot of fun cooking up this recipe, and I was pleasantly surprised at how easy it was to make this beautiful and delicious meal. I'm definitely looking forward to doing this again. Don't forget to use my coupon code EngineerYourSpace80 to get that $80 off your first month. I'll put the link in the video description below, along with links to all the products that I showed you today. If you're looking for more ideas and inspiration for your kitchen, you can watch this playlist that has all my favorite kitchen projects that I've done over the years. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss my next videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.